It is now 8.5 years since thousands of people across Japan's eastern coast were killed by the 2011 tsunami. The waves of up to 40 metres high tearing through cities, towns and villages, leaving nothing but destruction behind. In all, around 20,000 people losing their lives. One of those cities, Kamaishi, 200 kilometres north of Fukushima, saw 1,000 deaths alone. As much of its heart was ripped away. The people living there left desperate for much-needed aid as infrastructure was totally destroyed, homes, schools and businesses. Many residents summing up the desperation felt by all.
水、水道と、あと電気がつかないということですね。それあと携帯電話が連絡がつかないというのが非常に安否確認生きているか死んでいるかっていうのが非常に心配でした。
セレモニーはないにどうにもならないものでないとさ、遺体発見しないとどうにもならないからさ。
Now, though, comes hope. Hope through sport. Kamaishi has long been one of the homes of Japanese rugby, and it is rugby now, which once again is shining a light on the city. 5 years ago, plans were announced to build a new stadium there and to host games in this year's Rugby World Cup. Well, now that has come to fruition. With 2 games of the competition scheduled, the sport really boosting the 35,000 people who still live there, even after so many lives were lost. It is a way to show the entire world that Kamaishi is back in business, and a way as well to thank people who helped in the area's reconstruction. Well, despite some complaints about the cost of the project, there is no doubt from many that the Rugby World Cup has been, is and will be a driving force for recovery in Kamaishi. Well, Constantin Simon, Adrian Lac, Justin McCurry and Aruna Popuri revisit Kamaishi for France 24.
It was a huge earthquake. I was outside the school. The classes had finished. The trees were swaying so violently, their tops were touching the ground. The children all started running towards the hills. The ocean was in that direction. When we got to this point, we turned around to look back, and the city had disappeared. I couldn't believe it was a wave. It looked like a giant black wall. It was very wide and was quickly moving towards us. I didn't want to die. I didn't feel fear so much as a desire to live. So we started running again to save ourselves.
I saw the tsunami was coming, but I just thought if I kept running, I'd be able to escape. I was screaming at people to run up the hill. I was suddenly carried away by the water. The sky was blue and the water was clear. I was lying in the water like this, thinking it was strangely beautiful. I wasn't scared. I just accepted I was going to die. I lost consciousness. When I came to, everything was dark. I noticed a light above me. I could make out a shape and I tried to swim towards it to escape. I reached out, hoping to grab hold of it. And then I felt something warm. It was one of the employees of my hotel. She was in the water holding onto the debris. She'd seen my arm and she pulled me out of the water.
At 2:46 p.m. on the 11th of March 2011, the biggest ever tsunami recorded in Japan caused widespread damage in Kamaishi. 1/3 of this port city of 34,000 people was wiped off the map. Around 3,000 houses were destroyed and the industrial zone was swept away. More than 1,000 people were killed or are missing, presumed dead. 8 years on, signs on the sides of buildings remind residents how high the tsunami waves reached.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to talk to you about the Tsunami Memorial. Please follow me.
All 8th grade pupils in the region come here to learn about the dangers of tsunamis. 24-year-old Nodoka Kikuchi is at the memorial to greet a party of children.
Here you can see how the city changed after the tsunami. This place is 11 meters above ground, but the wave was much higher. It reached a height of around 30 meters.
At the time of the tragedy, Nodoka was around the same age as these school children. Thanks to evacuation drills, she and all 600 of the children at her school survived. Kamaishi is both a symbol of the disaster and of the strength of the human spirit.
It's hard to imagine how difficult it must have been for people living near the sea. We should never forget what happened. If it happens again, the first thing you have to do is run to higher ground.
These everyday objects found in the debris leave a deep impression on the visitors.
Images are not enough, as they don't help you understand the smells, the sounds, the way the wind was blowing. The images are snapshots of the tsunami when it occurred. I want to tell people how residents lived through the aftermath of the tragedy and what they needed to survive.
Kamaishi was not the only city that was destroyed by the tsunami, but it chose a novel way to promote its revival. Through rugby. The local team, the Sea Waves, kept their name even after the disaster, despite its negative connotations.
Go! Everyone I knew was affected in some way by the disaster. Some died. We had no electricity. We didn't feel like playing rugby. We didn't play for about 2 months. Instead, we volunteered and helped local people. But one day, a few residents said, "Hey, why don't you start playing again?" And that was the encouragement we needed to start playing again. In rugby, we often say, one for all and all for one. And that's what happened here. Kamaishi's entire population was united, just like a rugby team. People helped us, and we helped them in return.
People told us that it gave them courage to see us play. I think we helped this city regain its sense of purpose.
The local passion for rugby has taken Kamaishi a long way. 2 years after the tsunami, it bid to become the smallest city ever to host matches at the Rugby World Cup. It was a way to get everyone behind a common goal, and it worked. Kamaishi, an industrial city, has long been a powerhouse of Japanese rugby. In the 1980s, the local club won 7 consecutive national titles. Leading the players today is their New Zealander coach.
When they were the kings of Japan, that was 30 years ago, 35 years ago. It's sort of holy soil for us to play on, and we've got to respect that with the very best that we can be every time we walk onto it.
Today the team plays in the 2nd division, but at one time its players were nicknamed the Iron Men of the North. Many were employed at the local steelworks, operated by club sponsor Nippon Steel. But Kamaishi's World Cup involvement comes with a price tag. The stadium costs €31 million and will host just 2 pool matches. Some oppose the project, pointing out that 8 years after the disaster, several hundred people are still living in temporary prefab housing.
Our priority is to get our lives back to normal. People here lost so much in the tsunami, including friends and relatives. We want the World Cup to be fun, but it should also help people understand the challenges we face, even today.
The World Cup has accelerated reconstruction, with roads, railway lines and other infrastructure completed in time for the arrival of foreign rugby fans. Akiko Iwasaki believed in the rugby project from day one. Her traditional ryokan inn, overlooking the sea, was destroyed by the tsunami, but today it's been restored to its original splendour. Guests travel long distances for its legendary seafood.
It tastes of the sea. It's salty, but I like it.
We're friends and members of a seniors club. Kamaishi was badly damaged, but it's a huge rugby town, so the head of our group decided we should visit.
An estimated 500,000 people will visit Japan during the World Cup, with several thousand expected in Kamaishi.
We hope people from all over the world come here to see the World Cup.
Iwasaki is counting on tourism to secure Kamaishi's economic future. The city's in a region with an ageing population and its industry is in decline. The government earmarked €50 million to promote the region.
Thank you very much.
Iwasaki is welcoming guests again and has made sure her inn will be prepared in the event of another devastating tsunami. Behind the hotel are 2 paths that will guide people to safety.
On the day it happened, many people were stuck at the bottom of the hill, as there was only one escape route. This path is for people who use wheelchairs.
The government has taken additional measures. A giant seawall now dominates Kamaishi's coastline. The city's coastal defences stood 4.5 metres high in 2011, but were easily breached by the waves. The new wall is 14 metres high.
It's almost finished. It's amazing.
The parts covered in scaffolding will be completed by the end of July.
The tsunami reached a height of 15.10 meters. So that's 60 centimeters higher than this new wall. That means that if an enormous tsunami strikes again, well, only a small amount of water will flow over the wall, and there won't be much damage. And as you can see over there, those houses, the land they're on was raised after the disaster, so the water won't reach them. And the seawall also gives people more time to escape.
But Iwasaki and her neighbours oppose construction of a new seawall near their homes.
We thought we were prepared for the last tsunami, but the waves turned out to be higher than the seawall. The force of nature is always beyond our imagination. I'm no longer scared of the sea. It let me live. It gave me another chance.
Today, Kamaishi is celebrating. Local people have come to watch the sea waves, in red, play a friendly match against another team from the region. But it's hard for such a small city to fill all of the seats.
The World Cup is coming soon. We can't wait. Today, the stadium is almost empty, but soon it will be packed with 16,000 people from all over the world.
Supporters wave flags belonging to fishermen who died in the tsunami. Iwasaki is right at the front.
It's great. Sport brings people together. We've always known that in Kamaishi. Throughout our history, sport has helped us to get through hard times. Sport brings us together. It makes us stronger.
The Iron Men of the North crushed their opponents, 120 points to 0. Even the assistant coach, a former player, came off the bench to play part of the match.
I'm very happy. It has been such a long time. And to play in this stadium.
I think it's very special. This is a ground that's it's like hallowed turf, you know. This is where a school once stood that no one died, you know, in a horrific event. So it's a special ground to play on, to get the opportunities. You know, there's only so many that will ever get the opportunity in this country to play here.
Like other tsunami-hit areas, Kamaishi received help from around the world. The excitement aside, the Rugby World Cup will be the residents' way of saying thank you to those who helped them in their time of need.
Constantin Simon, Adrienne Lac, Justin McCurry and Aruna Potpourri revisiting Kamaishi for France 24. That's all from this week's edition. Of course, you can catch all the previous editions on our website at france24.com. There's more news coming up very shortly. Thanks for watching.